Michael Moore,
Here.
Liza Borges, Brandon Britt, Rob Fisher,
Here.
Chris Mayer,
Here.
Jeff Malloy,
Here.
Mark Riblet,
Here.
Senior Sagappi,
Here.
Andrew Wiley.
Here. We have a quorum.
Yes, you do.
Thank you very much. I want to remind everyone in attendance that public comment will be taken for those items on the agenda and only those items on the agenda. And you'll be given 2 opportunities to speak, both in committee and in full board. Committee members, there's a summary in your notebook from the last meeting. I assume that those minutes are approved unless I hear otherwise. Also, there's updates in your notebook from the last board meeting. And I do not see any old business on the agenda. So we'll go ahead and move to new business. With new business, William, tab number 1. Euclid Auto LLC, Raymond Gregory. Is there anybody in attendance to speak to tab 1? Okay. Raymond Gregory. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Tab 1, 6 Elusive Auto LLC and Raymond Lafont. On March 3rd, 2022, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Section 46.2-1529, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $500.
Okay, I know some folks just entered. Are you here to speak to tab 4? Which case are you here to?
Any auto.
Yeah, okay, great. That'll be tab 4. We're on tab 1. Okay, thank you. So there's no one here to speak to tab 1, discussion by the committee. Any comments? Tab 1, just to kind of refresh your memory, obviously the only fine noted is a civil penalty for deceptive practices, but this dealership had quite a few issues. Records for temp tags, 7 sets of tags to 1 consumer, which is, I think, what started the investigation. They provided a lot of missing documentation. I think what it came down to is 1 missing safety inspection, but I think like 120 some POD files. So comments from the board or committee?
Is this enough? At $500, and what are we doing? And it looks like we're not getting this job done in terms of POD. I don't really understand the 500. We're still missing all these.
Were most of these, Ron, not waiting on titles and trying to satisfy the customer without doing the correct roads title health?
Some of them were. I'm sure some of them were, but there were quite a few that were unaccounted for.
Completely unaccounted for. So it
Just
wasn't a
says,
second set.
Yeah.
So 70 something. That's what I saw. Maybe I'm wrong.
The dealership issued 532 tags, only 482 of which were original issued. 74 different customers receiving multiple sets.
But I don't see where any customers were receiving, any non-customers were receiving temp tags.
It says that it's unclear as to how many of the 123 missing calls were included in the issuance of multiple tags, and so it's hard to kind of draw a correlation.
I guess my only awareness was this is not necessarily the same blatant. We've printed 500 sets of tags for someone on Facebook Marketplace. So I think that's why they probably cut
It is not as blatant as some of the other ones that we've looked at, to answer your question. I think there was an expired sales license and a couple other issues. Yeah. So the comment was made, is the penalty enough, Mark?
Similar comment. When we looked at the cases for today, when I was looking at them, it seemed maybe that some of the recommendations for penalties are not the same for what would appear to be the same violation.
Right.
what jumped out on this one was a recommendation for $500 on deceptive acts and practices. Where on another case later, it was higher than that. Again, I'm not trying to suggest the 500 is right or wrong, just from a consistency perspective. If we have a similar violation, it would seem like a similar penalty may be appropriate. So just trying to understand that recommendation a little bit better from a consistency perspective.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and the kind of the framework we've used is $50 per issuance of a POD infraction. So that's kind of per tag is kind of where we've been. But other comments? Or,
I'd like to comment.
yeah.
In this case here, it seems almost like the hearing officer is telling us that the 74 sets of additional tags were multiple prints for current customers.
Mhm.
That's a way different happening than somebody who prints out 180 sets of temp tags and sells them online. Maybe that's why we're at $500. That's all I want to make sure we're clear on.
The only thing I comment, Chris, is I don't know what page it's on, page 6, I think. Number 8, it says the POD run dated for the year showed 7 sets of tags issued to this one customer. But then it says 74 customers had multiple sets of original tags. Mr. Buchanan determined that 123 original tags had no corresponding records at the dealership.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks.
So, I mean, if there's 100, it's like this guy does, and it even says the next line says there was a violation letter for 6650. Now then they reduced it. So that it'd be nice if the agent could speak to why in this case they decided to do away with that when we've been consistently finding these people.
So to answer that, 123 sets of tags not accounted for at $50 a piece is $6,150.
Plus the $500 other fine would be the 6650 that was originally proposed.
I understand now that, and I thank you for that.
And I just don't understand why it was reduced. It's not explained well in this documentation. If they don't have the documentation for 123 sales that they issued the tags for, that suggests something's funky going on.
Mr. Chairman. I can tell you that DMV has taken action on this particular case. We had a hearing March 1st, and the final decision was a 1-year suspension of the print-on-demand access. So that this person was suspended effective May 6th. This company, excuse me.
Do we up the fine and do we say go back to the class and do the class again? Evidently this person.
It's a recommendation, and I think
Is
now
it
it's
in there?
Yeah, it's in there. So Ron, I've got a recommendation when you're ready. A motion, yes, sir.
Yeah, the class is not in there.
No, I don't see it in there.
So if you,
It is on the other 3, so yeah,
you'd like to make a motion.
I will. I'll make a motion that we increase the fine to $61.50, which is $50 per set, plus the 500 deceptive acts and practices. In addition to that, they have to obtain the dealer operator license.
So are you saying back to 6650?
Yes, sir.
So the motion is for 6650 for the POD violations and deceptive acts and practices, plus dealer operator class. Second.
Well, this is 1-year suspension.
I'm sorry, what? This is from the system, a 1-year suspension from the system,
POD.
from using the POD online system.
That's on the DMV side.
So we have a motion for 6650 and for successful inspection and dealer operator class. And the second, Mark, were you the first? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So the motion is 6650, dealer operator class and successful inspection. Okay. Tab 2, Car-Mart LLC, Dennis Rogers. Is there anybody in attendance to speak to tab 2? Okay, William, if you could read tab 2 for me, please.
Yes, Car-Mart LLC, and Dennis J. Rogers. On March 15th, 2022, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1539, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Based on the information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $38,050 and suspension of all licenses pending payment of the $38,050, satisfactory inspection, and successful completion of a 2-day deal operating course.
I'll ask one more time. Is there anybody in attendance to speak to this tab? Okay. Discussion by committee. This one's pretty interesting too. There was no participation in the hearing. And then this individual said they were going to phone in to be part of the hearing. That did not occur either. So no attendance here today. A pretty grievous set of circumstances here. You know, it was not just the 707 POD temp tag violations. 23 safety inspections were at issue here. A number of things that were concerning, quite candidly, with no representation from the organization. Discussion.
I don't think,
Let me ask a question. I'm sorry. Did you
I was just gonna say, it doesn't seem like there's much to say. I mean, you know, clearly the dealer's not, they don't seem concerned.
Yeah, we had a hearing on April 27th. We're still awaiting the final decision.
My only comment for committee at some point, at what point do you start suspending? I mean, and you know, it's at what point do you take dealer licenses, or do you, I mean, you know, enough is enough. And just do you care? I mean, you get a $38,000 fine, you have these grievous violations, you don't attend the hearing, you say you're going to attend the hearing and then call in, you don't call in, you just accept the 38,000. And as Chris has said in prior meetings, I mean, could have made a lot more money than 38,000 off of selling tags. So at what point do we as committee, and I just put this in the back of your mind, do we say enough is enough? And at some point, we start taking dealer licenses.
Is the recommendation on this case to suspend the dealer license?
Well, no, it says suspension only if he doesn't pay the fine, and that's normal.
Okay.
So if you don't do what we pass as the final, you know, record of civil penalty, if you don't pay those, you're automatically going to be suspended. So that he checked that box, but it's no different than any other case.
Ron, I think we have to also give weight to the hearing officer who's been knee deep in this thing from the beginning. And when they make a recommendation to suspend the license to the dealer, I think we should probably look at that, because the rest of us are just reading quickly through it, making a decision. And he's actually going through he or she is actually going through the process of hearing the whole. I'm not against it. I'm not telling you you shouldn't take further action. I'm only telling you that we have to give some weight to the hearing officer about that. Okay. I got a question for William.
Yes.
William, where do these hearing officers come from, and who are they? And we don't know who they are and what they think or anything. Is it supposed to be that way, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they are, we employ them, of course. They're impartial. For your information, they come from various backgrounds. We do meet with them a couple of times a year to talk about trends and try to explain the process to them. Part of the training is to write the field representatives to see what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. But at the same time, they are dealing with what's before them.
Okay.
Okay. In most cases, in all cases, you will see that the staff has tried the process by giving them a civil penalty based off of what their allegations are.
Mhm.
In this case, first case we had, we will give a recommendation as to what we think it should be based off of the formula that we've been using. And sometimes the hearing officers will go with that. Sometimes they won't go with it, depending on what they get in the meeting with the individual. So,
I'm just trying to figure out, you know, where their basis comes
but
from.
we have 4 or 5, we have 5 security officers right now. We try to keep 6 on staff, but of course, different backgrounds, different professions, they see things differently. But we do have meetings to try to let them see that we're dealing with facts. This is what the expectation is. But at the same time, if they hear something different or see something different, they have the authority to do what they're doing. But again, bottom line is they'll provide you with a recommendation of which you can do when you want to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask another crazy question just for consideration. Based on the severity, could we recommend maybe there's a multiple inspections over a 1-year period? You see what I'm saying? In other words, so they button down, they pass a 90-day, whatever, you know, but what we're really trying to do is change the course for the long haul. And maybe our recommendations once in a while should be not only an inspection within 90 days, but a subsequent follow-up inspection within 6 months, 9 months, a year, whatever it is. I think based on the severity of some of these, we really need to crack down. I'm very concerned with the lack of care for what are great. I mean, these are huge. I mean, you know, a few years ago for just safety inspections, we'd go off the deep end with fines because now we've got multiple infractions. Maybe we should consider more than one successful inspection over a period of time.
While you're considering that, if the board does decide to do that, which you have authority to do, then on the backside, because we're going out more than normal, we will also charge on time to the individual as well, because that is not our normal plan. We have to compensate for the fact that other dealerships are not being inspected because we're spending more time with this particular dealership.
Other comments, thoughts?
I think that's a good thought. Why are we not taking this fellow's license? Because we have a third party that says, well, let's give it another shot. Because a gentleman like this really, as you say, does not care. He doesn't want to be with us. When you put a $40,000 fine, why don't we just say, hey, it's over? Do we have that? You know, and that is egregious, and I'm with you. And how do we allow 7 sets of tags? I'm talking to my title clerk the other day about one of these. She says, my goodness, I don't know how that happens. If I go in and do 2, and if I go down, you know, that's the other side of that coin, but why not say, oh, I'd take this gentleman's license right now, personally, but that's just my.
No, and that's a good point. I mean, here's a dealership that sold 16 cars in 1 year and 700 and some. I mean, what are you in business, to sell tags or sell cars? Right? So, I mean, I can't encourage y'all enough to really take these very, very seriously. We have to stop this. And we have to stop it now. Okay.
I think $38,000 is a great education. Some educations cost more than others, and this one here is going to cost them $38,000 at minimum. Plus, like you said, maybe additional follow-up inspections to make sure they're doing the right thing. I don't know that, because we don't know all the details. I don't know that we run out there and take his license right away. I think we probably charge him $38,000 and we do some follow-up inspections and we keep going down the road. We've got multiple other deals similar to this we have to deal with today's.
I don't think this is one, you know, when you look back, if something happened to a customer who came to this dealership and then someone looked back at this set of facts, it would seem obvious that this is the kind of dealer that would wrong a customer. And that's that's ultimately why we're here. I don't know how you, frankly, I don't know how you justify not taking this person's license away. Like, if this doesn't need a revocation license, I don't know what does. They can always appeal it. They can have a conversation about it, but.
William, do we have any additional consumer complaints on this dealer? You're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Well, they only sold 12 cars.
It
How many
looks-
complaints can you have?
It looks like an auto repair shop that's added auto sales to it, so they're probably in the auto repair business, my guesstimate. We don't have any additional complaints lodged against them, so it's not like we got 6 things coming down the pike. I don't even see a bad Google review in here right now, and I could rate them right now as a Google review. Consumers will slam you faster than anything else, so I don't think it warrants taking their license right now. Just my opinion. I mean,
But like, what's one possible explanation that's not nefarious for having 700 temp tags and 16 transactions?
well, we've allowed that to happen.
But that doesn't mean we should.
I understand, because the bank vaults up doesn't mean you can rob the bank. I get it, okay? But we've allowed that to happen, and we're charging him $38,000 right now for allowing that, for him doing that. And we're fixing, from DMV's point of view, they're fixing the problem, the breach we've had. So I think the fine is a massive statement to them without going in and just automatically taking their license. It's just my opinion.
And what's the downside of taking the license?
At the precedents, you can take everybody's license.
If there's an
We could
egregious set of
start.
facts, yeah.
I mean, like, a lot of these dealers are not, excuse me, one second, I'm sorry, Ron. A lot of these dealers are owners who have maybe been a little lax about the number, and then people have gone home and they got laptops sitting in the house, they're printing out temp tags at the house. So that's a whole different story. Some of these cases that we're reading on today, people had access numbers and they were printing out temp tags from their house and selling them online during COVID. So
Yeah, I think if you've got a solid explanation for how something like this happens, then you should show up and explain it. And if you don't, then we're gonna have to assume that there's a reason you didn't show up.
I just don't want to get into the precedents, because we seem to jump on that board pretty quickly, or we take some, well, we did it for the last 3, all of a sudden we're all on, we got to suspend everybody's license. And I think these huge fines that we're seeing, these are making a huge statement to the dealer community right now of what can happen when you don't keep track of your PIN numbers and your passwords for the print on demand.
By virtue of the fact the fella did not show up today to give us 5, that's not even respecting this board to me. When you have this kind of egregious violations and you don't walk through that door and stand right there and say, I'm really sorry. At that point, and that's why, and $40,000 evidently, well, is he going to cut that check? And you're not going to come in here and say, hey, how about 20 grand or something? Walk through that door and tell us how that happened. And by virtue of that fact, you're out of this business. 16 cars, 17 cars, you're not in the business anyway, in my humble opinion.
16 vehicles with 23 safety inspections that couldn't be found.
Oh, my goodness.
How does that happen? How do you sell 16 cars and not get 23 inspections?
Well, because inventory. So you're supposed to inspect before it's available for sale.
This is a great opportunity today. We've really brought up some issues that have haunted me ever since I've been on the board. One of the, I can recall one of the dealers sent their salesman who didn't speak English really very well, but he was charged for curb stoning, and they were appealing the $250 fine. And I point blank asked him, I said, well, you've done this multiple times and it's $250. He said, well, $250, we make so much more money when we sell it, curb stoning, we make more money on them. And I said, I said, maybe $1,000. I made a motion, let's change that $250 to $1,000. And we did, just to get his attention, because the $250, he said, that's just a part of doing business. That was his comment. So, it's consistency. I mean, what sometimes bothers me, where someone could be fined $1,000, somebody else could be fined $250, that sort of thing. But I do respect it when they come in and act like professionals and they're truly sorry, and you can believe them a little bit. But when they're standing up there and in your heart, you just cannot believe what's coming out of his mouth, then we just have to be a little sterner situation.
Okay. Other comments or a motion?
I'd make a motion that we take this gentleman's license.
Okay, so,
Just that simple.
Is that in
How about
addition
the
to the
fines?
fines?
No, I just put him out of his misery. At this point,
Let me
it's over.
say this to you though. You just take his license, then the door's open for him to come back as a dealer down the road.
Well, let's,
if you find him,
Yeah.
if you find
I
him, he
like
has
it.
to, he has to pay.
let's do that.
Okay, so Rob, before we ask for a second, your motion is to support the $38,050 fine and to revoke his licenses. Okay,
Second.
second by Michael. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. 3850. Tab 3, Sparkplug Automotives, Gerald Carper. Is there anyone here to speak to tab 3? Okay, we'll go ahead and read the case and then I'll ask you to take the podium if you would, please.
Car Plug Automotive Incorporated and Gerald Copper. Tab 3. On April 7th, 2022, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1539, 46.2-1550, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing a civil penalty of $51,000, satisfactory inspection within 90 days, and for the dealer to successfully complete the 2-day deal operator course.
Okay, thank you. If you would like to speak to tab 3, please take the podium and state your name. Or names.
Good morning. How y'all doing today?
Good.
My name is Gerald Carper.
Can you,
Gerald Carper. I'm the owner.
okay,
Licensed dealer. 02505 02559 558. Sorry.
and the gentleman with you
This
is,
is,
My name is Matthew McDaniel. I've been recently hired for the company to resolve these issues.
okay, okay, as an employee of the company, okay.
the allegations brought against us. I mean, I want to say I like to apologize, to the board just morning for not being more aware of what was going on up under my eyes, up under my nose. But when I got my dealer's license, I decided to bring some family members in up under me to, I was just trying to start a new route for people in my family to go to make some legal money and do things, to move in a different direction. And currently throughout the course of the few years that we've been in business, I've had family members, involved with our business that is there's some fraudulent things that come back on me today. Is why I'm here. And I've since then cut ties with those family members and fired them from the my organization and brought new people in to help get this thing together and moving in the right direction. Since I've been in business, we haven't prevailed the last couple of years, making because I've been cleaning up messes behind situations behind what people I brought in has made. They left me messes where I have to pay back customers over cars that's been sold that I didn't even know about. And I apologize about that. I really, can there's nothing too much I can say, but I can just apologize for not being more aware, of what was going on up under my dealership. A lot of times I was on the road attending different auctions, trying to get different cars. And my salesman who I had hired at the time was not showing up to the office, working from home. He had put a computer in his house and was print on demand tags from home. I didn't find that out till after I was audited and I did my research. And once I did my research, come to find out that this guy was selling tags for $100 or whatever, better. And now I'm stuck here having to deal with you guys today. But since then I've released him from the organization, brought in a new team that I have working up under me now and getting everyone licensed. And we're trying to move in a different direction so we can really step up to the next level with this dealership thing. Like I say, I apologize, and I'll let my new salesman speak to you for a second.
I've been recently hired to the company, as he already stated. He had a family member that was evidently had the codes and passwords to print off tags, and they were just printing tags. And they were also basically managing the business because Mr. Carper was also does other things and runs another business. And so they were sitting there, they were paying the bills. When they got the list for how much they owe for the print on demand tags, Mr. Carper never seen that. They were just spending the money, doing it, putting the money in the pocket. He had no knowledge about it until they came and knocked on the door and audited everything. There's other issues that was in the meeting that he didn't know about. There was one of his employees were making inspection stickers. It was just a total mess. So when he came in there and brought it to his eyes, he fired everybody. He's hired me to come in, and I'm going to do my best diligence. I can guarantee you that there's going to be nothing else from the day that I was hired, that I won't allow anything else. I'm the only one other than Mr. Carper that has the code. And I will never log in at my home to do anything other than print a transport tag for a vehicle that we're picking up from an
58 safety inspections, documentation, transport tags, 577 deals paperwork wrong, 2 dealer tags missing, odometer disclosures missing. There's nothing done right.
Yeah. Like I said, I've cleaned it up since then. I've hired new people to come in and help in the office. My salesman at the time was literally not coming to help me at all. He was just working. He had just started working at home because he's disabled, and he had started working at home, and everything that was being done at the office was a lot of stuff. I was, in the office trying to attend auctions, be there for my business hours, and sell cars at the same time, as well as I came into this dealer thing, off some money I had saved up. I still haven't, prospered, enough to be able to afford to pay a bunch of people, to work in the office for me. I'm a small business trying to get off my feet. When I joined, my credit wasn't all that good at a 530, so I was never approved for a business loan or a floor plan. Everything was done off money that I saved up from working a 9 to 5 and just trying to go into business on my own. I brought in someone who's willing to work off commission and really help changing the business. And I got a couple other guys that's on the way to be licensed as well, that's working, training with us as well, and that's willing to work on the commission until we can build up some revenue and get this thing off the ground. But everything and every issue that was brought against me has been addressed. If they was to inspect us today, we would pass flying colors.
Mr. Carper,
Yes.
you're, the gentleman with you there stated you have another full-time job. What do you do?
I don't have another full-time job. I'm literally working with someone that was trying to get into the real estate thing,
Okay,
but
I
I haven't
understand.
even got there yet. I'm just something I'm just fiddling with.
Are you the dealer operator at your dealership?
Yes, sir.
And sir, are you licensed salesperson for that dealership right now?
I am.
He's the only one. I got 2 other that's I got under us that's training that hasn't got licensed yet, but we're working on getting them.
How long ago
licensed.
did you go through the dealer operator class?
Going on 3 years now. 2019.
How many cars you selling now?
Since,
From last year?
maybe we might have sold, last year, might have been some close to 200, or in the hundred, some close to 200. And I brought Mr. McDaniel in, he guaranteed that we would be able to, he's pushing up for us to move 50 cars in a month. And he hasn't showed me anything less. He's helped our promotion. He's brought in dealer warranties with the extended warranty companies to warranty our cars for customers, to keep customers satisfied. And we're actually working on finally getting approved for a business loan. Because like I said, I came in this thing with the money that I had to get licensed and get a bill and get insurance, and maybe $1,000 to buy one car. And that's why I started. And I've been trying to build this thing up since we started. In the mix of it, I've had to pay customers back behind cars that my salesman had sold that wasn't right when he sold them. He sold them without titles being present. Have to give them back. And when he, when the fallout came, he didn't even help me pay none of these fines back. I had to go in my own pocket that I feed my children with and pay back these things that the DMV police, when they come to the office, they're expecting us to have a check for these customers, and I had to pay these on my own pocket, which harmed me because we're not a big business yet. We haven't made it that far yet. We, maybe keep 5-6 cars on a lot at a time, trying to flip the money that we're making off these cars. Just doing the best we can.
How long this gentleman was work for you?
He worked for me. I let him go. He worked for me. When I got my dealer's license, got him licensed along with me. When they licensed me from the beginning, he's been with me
When was it?
in 2019.
This gentleman?
Oh, this
No,
gentleman, he's been with me for about 3 months now. And but he finally got his license. When he came to me, he had already passed his test. When he came to me, he just wanted to come and join a group, join someone and get in and help me. He came to me as a customer.
Licensed on the 28th. Right, but she said he,
Expect today, our records will have everything that's supposed to be in the records.
I'm not talking about today. Gotta go back to 3 months or whenever he was hired.
Yes, he's
Your
been,
record's gonna go down for the past 3 months.
yes, sir. Our records are legit. We've been keeping up with the tags, as far as the tag log and the inventory and everything that was brought against, us when we had our dealer meeting. Also, I like to say, and I'm not faulting anybody, pointing the finger at anyone, but I've had about 3 inspections since I've been licensed, and some of the stuff on the last audit, when we was audited, was never spoke on, when I was being, when we had our inspection. So I was pretty much just going off of what was required of us from my dealer rep, but when he came in with other people for the last audit, they was looking for things that I've never even kept, to be honest, because.
So here's what I think we ought to think about as a board, if I could jump in, Ron. This gentleman on the right there, who's supposed to come in and save the day for him right now, has taken a 20-question test. Doesn't have any of the backgrounds for a dealer operator. It sounds to me like he's going to operate as a dealer operator underneath this gentleman in his dealership. The person that came in before that was running the show took a 20-question test. We're setting these folks up. You brought this up this morning, Don, we were talking. We're setting these folks up with salespeople to run the place. Typically when the owner's out buying cars, running around, maybe doing another job, and they're running the whole show based on a 20-question test. The dealer operator class is 2 days of intense information that teaches them what to do and what not to do and how to do it. I think that we need to look at how many problems are coming from unmanned dealer operator dealerships and how the salespeople are running the show on a 20-question test. So that being said, we should, if he's going to run the show, I mean, that guy ought to be a dealer operator. If he's going to be running the show and he's going to be doing real estate on the side, that's another recipe for failure to put him at the helm to run things with limited knowledge and experience.
I guess I agree that this gentleman needs more training if he's going to be running the show, but we can't micromanage every used car dealer that comes get a license. And it does still rest on Mr. Carper's shoulders. He took the class 3 years ago and he should have known some of this stuff. Now, I'm going to say in this case, I mean, I appreciate the gentleman coming in. And I'm not sure, if our objective here is to get this dealership running properly and following the rules. It seems like this gentleman's committed to doing it. He's making the right steps. And, I just want to put out there that is there a way to take some of these fines and suspend them pending how well the dealership does? Only because I worry in a case like this that we're potentially going to kill the operation entirely.
Well, I want to hear from them, but the client first, see, maybe they're willing to pay it. Then we can make suggestions. I have a suggestion too.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So how do you feel about your 2005?
To be honest, I'm guilty for letting that, not paying more attention to what's going on in my business. So I understand the fine. I can't argue about the fine. Now, could we pay it today? Will we be able to pay it today? And if it was a case where if we had to pay it today or not have a dealership, we wouldn't have a dealership. We haven't made it there yet. We've been trying to get on the right.
Working off of $20,000 to feed 2 families.
So let's chat for a minute. We want you to be successful. If you're gonna have a license, we want you to be successful. You're trying to do 2 jobs. You don't have the working capital you need to run the business. And you say you're going to accelerate your sales. And if you can't focus on the business, you're just going to accelerate your failure. You have to have enough capital to run your business, and you have to have enough acumen on how to run your business, and you have to watch it. As you increase sales, it gets more complex. It doesn't get easier. So you're trying to work multiple jobs to raise the capital, or maybe to get the capital. Pardon?
Not now. What?
Okay. This needs to be 100% of your focus, and you need to generate the money you need to run this business, and you have to have the procedures in place. Or you're just going to fail. We're just going to prolong the inevitable. We see it all the time. We see it all the time. There's nothing in this case that was running correctly. Nothing. I can't find anything that says it was running correctly. I understand you fixed it. I appreciate you being here. And I hope that in fact you have, but it's going to take every bit of your attention to make it work. There's no secret sauce here to make it work. We see it all the time. You got to have money and you got to have focus. And if you have those 2 things, you can be successful. Sure that you can. $50,000 fine is a lot of money. We'll set up a payment plan for you, but you deserve every bit of that fine because you let it get out of hand. And I know you're fine with that. But I would really encourage you to go back to the dealer class and think about how you need to be structured to be successful, or you're going to fail and you're going to lose all your money. And we don't want to see that. That's not what we're here for. So I just want you to think about that. That's why I asked you in the very onset of this, what are you going to do differently? Because if you don't do something differently, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not all up to him. You're the dealer operator. It's up to you. It's up to you. So I'll get off my soapbox. I would encourage the committee that if you give me a motion, that you include in there maybe a couple inspections. Okay, because we've got to make sure this thing's on the right track.
Can I say something one more time?
Yes,
Since this have been, brought against us, me and him both, and I brought him in, we've been dedicated to this. I catch hell every day for my wife. Cause I leave the house at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not returning home to 10 o'clock at night. Our business hours is over at 4 in the day, and we stand at the office, putting in work, doing everything we can, moving cars around, waiting on inspection, getting them maintenance, because everything we get have to be maintenance. It'll go to inspection. We never get lucky and go and get a car from the auction and slide it right through inspection. It's always
good.
a motor mount or cracked windshield or something we have to address before we can even get these cars inspected, which kind of slows up the process of selling them, because we've been wholesaling them all along, being content with making $1,500 to $2,000 per car. And we run through that just off bills and maintenance on cars. But we figure it, my philosophy when I came in is if we can consistently do that, sell 4 or 5 cars a week, it would be all right. That was my philosophy, but it never has worked out that way, as I planned when I came into this, I was kind of stubborn, not listening to other people that was around me, because I heard the chatter before, he's selling his cars too cheap. Other car dealers in the area, they hate us for that, but we was just trying to get a name for ourselves, build a good name out here, so people can want to come to us and buy cars. But since I brought Matt in, we work way more. I mean,
I have a 2.3% markup. If we get something for 1,500 times 2.3, and we can't survive without that. Because there's no way to buy a $1,500 car, sell it for 2,000, and be able to still make a living and be able to afford repairs. You got to double your money and put $500 to $800 to fixing each car you buy. So the 500 to 800 got to go to repairs. Then you got to double your money, or it ain't worth it. And I'm getting set up tomorrow. We're supposed to be getting set up with another lender that's going to come review the company, possibly give us a better credit to be able to deal with different customers, credit acceptance. I've set it up a meeting with them to come in and meet with us, and hopefully we can get more lenders to be able to purchase the cars, because right now we're cash sales only. The only lender that we have is Lindmark, and Lindmark isn't that great of a lender, not in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Rob?
If I could get back to why we're here, you said earlier that the fella that had his setup at home was selling these tags, and you said, "Oh, got $100 to $150." Were you hearing that? And how many out of 700? Was it 200 a tag? Was the minimum 100? Just for our information, because that's why we're here.
I'm not
We
sure.
talk about a lot of numbers. Excuse me for 1 minute. If you did 700 of them at 150 a piece, that seems real lucrative. So, but what did you know about that? And just fill us in about this, because really I don't know. And when we say $100 a piece, where were these going? And 150, and so if you could just expound on that, I think the committee would like to hear that.
I was in the blind in this, when they came with their audit, they telling me that they have 200, some close to 200 sales, but 700 tags being printed. I'm looking like 700. Where, how? I'm looking at other guys in the office like, when? These sales is what we have, and this is what we have. I can't show you nothing else that I don't have, because I was unaware of that until after the fact. And then we fishing around trying to find out what's going on. And then I found out, I'm getting inboxes, people inboxing my personal page, asking me, can I get them tags? I'm like, we can't do that. That's against the rules. We can't do that. Well, your partner's been giving us tags, and we're trying to get more tags. When when they came in, I was literally in the blind to this when they came to do the audit. Like I was like, what? It was like just like being snuck from behind. Like I did not know anything about it. So only thing that I could do is, I'm looking around trying to figure out what's going on. Which the only other person that had at that time was him, and then I started getting, we just morning before we came up here, someone inboxed the car plug page asking for tags. And I'm like, where's all this coming from? And it's, we sell a lot of cars off Facebook. And I think it might have been last week. People on Facebook, well, what can we get some tags from? And people are tagging
It's now
tagging us, and we are having to go in and comment on these, like, that was done by former employees that's no longer with us. Please don't come at us like that because that's illegal. We can't do that.
Were they saying it's, you're selling them for 100 a piece? Was he selling for 150 or 200? And I guess what I'm getting at, when we have these $50 fines, and I've said before, well, he's getting 100, so I mean, he's doubling his money anyway. So I just want to know your involvement at what point, and can you say, well, it was 100 and maybe 150, and I'm just, I need to be clued in on how this goes on. I'm just asking you, and at what point did you say to your partner, say, I'm getting a lot of this, and then you see him say, right today, we're still known for cutting tags for a figure, for a price. Is that correct? And at what point did you say to your friend, to your partner, hey man, this is getting out of hand, and hey, cut me in for a little bit of the action? And I'm just asking.
We was never cut in no action on that because I never knew, and once I found out, I confronted him about it, of course, he denied it, but I had inboxes to tell me otherwise from other people who, when they couldn't get through with him, once we got the audit, only thing I can do was, look around, do the steps that I can do on my hand, which is change my password, which my password has been changed about 3 times since then because somebody is outside is still trying to log in, locking us out, and I have to
call DMV to
get back in. It'd be times.
Too many passwords in a row.
You can get, I think, multiple accounts issued to you. You shouldn't share passwords anyway. So you can get your own login to the POD system.
That's something that's new. To be honest, I did not know that. We've been using the same password, the same login since until all this happened. Now I've
never share passwords. Never.
That's in the dealer operator class. So that's the one thing that we go on heavily is never share your password with somebody else.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Not for me.
I just had a comment that, at Ron, to support what you were saying that, and Chris, the same thing with your vendor, for you to have your own username and password, so you all do not share a password. So if you contact your vendor and you needed to reset it, then that's the proper way to do that, because no one should be sharing passwords.
That's news. That's new to us today that I wasn't aware of.
Okay. Other comments, motion, questions?
Yeah. I admire you that you looked at your business and you went in and fired all your family. My disappointment is you being a family member of the dealers here, that we are looking at your business and put me out of misery. I think what you did was the right thing to do, fire everybody. I think the right thing for us to do is to shut it down. Too far out of control. And for all the right reasons you said, it doesn't have the capital to make it, it doesn't have the expertise. I just feel guilty that we're setting you back up to fail again, and you'll be back in front of us again. The worst violations. So I admire that you did fire all your family.
I completely disagree with Mr. Slaughter on that. I started with just a little bit more money than what he has right now. And if you start small and you plant small and you reap your crop, you can make it in this business. Not everybody starts out in this business with multiple $100,000 lines of credit. And what I don't want to do is discourage somebody who wants to get it right. He's going to pay for the education that he's gotten over the last year through the fine. And I think that he is here. He's in front of us. He didn't not show up. He showed up, came in with a backup plan. He's got what I think to be the heart to do this correctly. And I think we ought to fine him $51,000. And I think we ought to make him come to the dealer operator class so he knows how to do it right from here on out. I think we ought to give him a chance. That's what I think.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for taking your time. And you'll be given another opportunity to speak in the full board meeting, which will follow this, okay? Thank you. Appreciate it. Thoughts, motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we accept the hearing officer's recommendation for the $51,000 fine. And obviously William can work out a payment plan with that. I think the dealer operator class is non-negotiable. I think inspection wise, I think you have an inspection in 90 days. I think you have an inspection in maybe 9 months and maybe, 18 months.
okay, so your motion is to accept the recommendation of the $51,000 civil penalty, attend the dealer operator training, successful inspection, obviously within 90 days, and a follow-up at 9 months and 18 months. Is there a second to that?
I don't think 9 months is fast enough. I think it's sooner than that. I think it's 90 days, 9 months and 18 months.
That's what I said. So 90 days
Oh,
will
yeah,
be the
okay,
first
yeah.
one, then 9 months, and then,
Yes,
so
sir.
really it'll be 6 months after the first one.
Correct.
3 months.
3 months,
6 months.
9 months,
Almost.
3 months, 9 months, and 18 months.
Yeah. Question, how are we gonna break down the fine? Because the fine, if he doesn't have that money, oh. how
He
is that
can
gonna
get a
work?
payment plan. I need either a second to a successful completion of the dealer operator class. And by the way, I would recommend you take your cohort. And successful inspection within 90 days, 9 months, and 18 months. I get it all? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Did you have a question?
About the,
About how to find, and that goes across, when we say, okay, here's a $50,000 fine.
Right.
Is there, and what is that formula, or is that, how
Yes,
do we
yeah.
work those out?
I'll be happy to address it for you, sir. We have a payment plan option that we present to the dealership. And based on the, I guess, amount of the fine, the payment plans adjust accordingly. Our normal process is to ask for half of it up front, and then the rest of it will be worked out over a 6-month period. In this case, a $51,000 civil penalty, we would probably tell them, we'll work out some type of down payment and give them up to a year to pay the rest of it. Now, if at any point during that time period, they fail to make a payment, we suspend them until they make the payment. We shut them down. And when they come back on,
And usually that is within a year. When we assess these.
it depends on the amount of civil penalties. If the smaller ones, $4,000 or $5,000, no more than 6 months. But something like this, we'll give them a year.
That is it for new business. Is there any new business from the floor? Okay, our next board meeting will be July 11th, and we stand adjourned.
Move here for dealer board advertising committee.
Licensing.
Licensing.
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
No, okay. Not me, I'm not, I'm advertising.
It's like, it's like.
Oh, so it's going to Salado, though, right? Yes.
Yeah, he's gonna advertise.
Sir.
call License Committee to order. Alice, can you call the roll for me, please?
Maurice Slaughter,
Here.
Ted Bailey,
Here.
Dan Bannister.
Here.
Liza Borges, Gardner Britt, David Duncan, Dennis Elmer.
Here.
Rob Fisher,
Here.
Senior Sagapi,
Here.
Don Sullivan,
Here.
Andrew Wiley.
Here.
And we have a quorum. I'd like to let the public know if there's any time that they need to make a comment pertaining to their case, they have two opportunities. One during this hearing, and then we'll have a full committee together later. I'd like to approve the meeting minutes from the March 14th, if there's no objections. Those minutes should be approved. Is there any old business from the floor? No old business from the floor? Any new business from the floor? No new business from the floor? Would like to schedule our next meeting, July 11th. This committee will be meeting again at 9 a.m. Adjourn. That's it.
The Motor Vehicle Dealer Board Advertising Committee is called to order. Alice, could you give us a roll call, please?
David Duncan, Ted Bailey,
Here.
Dan Bannister,
Here.
Michael Bohr. Here. Liza Borges, Dennis Elmer.
Here.
Ron Cody.
Here.
Jeff Malloy,
Here.
Mark Riblet,
Here.
Maurice Slaughter,
Here.
Don Sullivan.
Here.
We have a four. And moving forward, the public comment period is limited to those topics that are listed on the agenda. And you have two opportunities, one being at the full board. Approval of the March 14th, 2020 meeting summary is in the books and has been approved. Under old business, do we have any old business from the floor? Any old business that we wish to reclaim? Seeing none, are there any new business to be discussed on the floor? Does anyone have any new business to bring up to the board? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. And our next meeting will be July 11th at 9 a.m.
Great.
I'd like to call the Transaction Recovery Fund Committee to order. Alice, roll call, please.
Chris Mayer,
Here.
Jeff Malloy,
Here.
Dan Bannister,
Here.
Michael Bohr,
Here.
Dennis Elmer.
Here.
Rob Fisher,
Here.
Ron Cody,
Here.
Mark Riblet,
Here.
Maurice Slaughter,
Here.
Don Sullivan,
Here.
Andrew Wiley.
Here.
Sounds like we have a quorum. Thank you, Alice. Under public comments, comments are limited to those topics that are on the list here. We have none, but if there were any, we would be able to hear those during the full board as well. Call for the approval of the March 14th meeting summary. If there's no objections, we'll approve that. Under old business, is there any old business from the floor? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Is there any new business from the floor? Our next scheduled Transaction Recovery Fund Committee meeting will be July the 11th, 2022. And with that being said, we adjourn.
Okay, we will take 10 minutes, a 10-minute recess before the full board meets. Now call the Motor Vehicle Dealer Board meeting to order. You all have received your March 2022 meeting summary. If there are no objections or questions, the meeting summary will be approved. Oh, sorry. Skipped over. Alice, can you please call the roll first?
Ted Bailey,
Here.
Dan Bannister,
Here.
Michael Moore,
Here.
Liza Borges, Gardner Britt, David Duncan, Dennis Elmer.
Here.
Rob Fisher,
Here.
Ron Cody,
Here.
Chris Mayer,
Here.
Jeff Malloy,
Here.
Mark Riblett,
Here.
Stephen Shudafi,
Here.
Larry Slaughter,
Here.
Don Sullivan,
Here.
Andrew Wiley,
Here.
Linda Ford.
Here. Thank you, Alice. We have a quorum. Okay, now you've received the March 22 meeting summary. If there are no objections or questions, we will approve the summary. Hearing none, the summary is approved. All who are on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak when your agenda item comes up. Is there anyone else who would like to provide public comments related to topics that are on the agenda? Okay, we will now move to the statutory committee reports, starting with the Dealer Practices Committee and Chairman Cody.
Okay. Tab 1. Yeah, so that's. Okay, so part of old business from the last full board meeting was we tabled what was tab 4 today. And William, if you would read E&E auto sales, and I know there's folks here to speak potentially. Okay, you'll be given a chance to speak. Let us go ahead and read the motion.
Now, the E&E Auto Sales case, E&E Auto Sales LLC and Marquise Johnson. On January the 19th, 2022, an informal fact-finding conference was conducted to address the alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1537, and 46.2-1559. Based on information provided at the conference, the hearing officer recommended assessing civil penalty of $6,100, satisfactory inspection within 90 days, and successful completion of the 2-day dealer operator course.
Okay, so this came up in committee last time. It went to full board and we decided to table it, and that's why it's showing up now as old business, because the folks from E&E had left the room. We didn't feel like it was in their best interest to go ahead and make a decision at the full board without their attendance. So that's why it's coming up as old business again. So Commissioner?
So Mr. Cody, is this your committee's motion?
That is the motion.
Okay, is there a second?
So, I'm misunderstanding. I'm sorry.
So what happened last time?
I know
is-
what happened.
Okay, so when it comes to the full board, we tabled it. So when it gets tabled, then we just bring it up again as like the committee recommended this motion. And so he read the motion, we second the motion, then we get into discussion.
I got you. Understand that. Understand. Yep.
That's-
Thank you.
So I have a question. Did they initially agree to the fine?
So there's no agree or disagree. Committee had the recommendation that he made. It went to full board and never got voted on. It got tabled. So now we're bringing it up in full board, just like it was part of the committee report.
What are they here for?
They're here to speak on their behalf as we discuss this case.
Should we listen to them before? we
I've got
second?
discussion.
Yeah, and Mr. Johnson, you can go ahead and go on up to the podium.
Did somebody second that?
We have not had a second yet.
We're
You have
not,
to second and then we start discussion, right?
right, there's a real.
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to
You have
second.
to
the motion.
second the approval of the first one.
I second it.
Yeah,
Okay,
Second
Don
the
seconds it.
motion.
No, I've got discussion.
okay, then we go to discussion, so
Okay.
then they take Cody.
Well, don't we,
So the reason this got tabled, I'll give you some background information so everybody remembers. This became a $6,100 fine. That's what we approved in committee. we started having a discussion in full board, and instead of it being a $6,100 fine, the issue is big enough to support a $61,000 fine. And there was disagreement as to why did the hearing officer reduce it from a potential $61,000 fine to a $6,100 fine. And that's what we got in discussion. We didn't feel like it was in their best interest to carry that discussion forward and change the fine without them being represented. So that's why we're here. Okay? You guys understand that?
Oh, I understand now. I didn't understand that at first. I didn't know
Okay.
why it got tabled.
Yeah.
So yeah, now, yes, I understand now.
Okay.
So yeah, at the last meeting, you basically stood up and just
Yeah,
apologized
I just said,
and said, we're sorry. And
Right.
the committee just said, okay, well, and we just kind of walked through it. And then once it got to normally, as you've listened earlier today, if you've been sitting here, I mean, the print on demand thing is a big issue. And so given that you didn't really do much explaining the last time, I kind of would like to hear the story about what was going on with the print on demand in your dealership. Why were all these tags being issued?
well, like I said, we had a secretary and she did things that I didn't know of. Just like the gentleman in the other case, I had a contract. I have two businesses. I had a contract with Car Lots dealership. I believe Mr. Ford. Well, I had a contract with them guys, and I used to detail cars for them. And I was very tied up with that part of my business. So I kind of lost focus on the dealership. But now I'm totally 100% into the dealership now. I brought my partner on and an investor on with me. His name is Terrence Latham. We've added dealer center to keep up with the inventory and things of that nature. And then he can, go on to other things.
Did we get anything back from the hearing officer as to what the rationale behind the reduction was?
No, we did not. And so we struggled with why the reduction to a flat 6,100 as opposed to 61,000, because there were over 1,200 instances where this was an issue. And that's how we got there. There was one other issue with the salesperson, as I remember, either salesperson licensing or pay or something.
The pay.
Yeah.
His paycheck.
Right. And that really, that was not part of the fine. Okay.
So question, so 1,220 tags and or transport tags.
The majority was the transport tags. And like I explained to Ms. Monique when she did the inspection, I had all of my records for my transport tags. That day before she came, I had cleaned out my office. Me and a couple of guys, we cleaned the office up, and that folder accidentally got stolen away. I tried to dig in the dumpster and everything to try to find those files, but those transport tags, I did have the records for them, but like I said, in my instance, it just, I didn't have them at that time.
So my question is, did she print these tags illegally? Or did you lose 1,200 transport tags that were legitimately?
No, it was transport tags. The transport tags were just for picking up different vehicles. Keeping a copy of that is what Ms. Monique explained. That's what majority, I believe it was like 700 or something like that with the transport tags. And then it was like 600 or something with the PO print on demand tag. If I'm correct, I don't have the.
You only sold 93 cars.
500.
No, I had 200 some folders of cars that were sold. I think 93 had only registered their cars with the DMV.
83 retail, 569 print on demand, 653 transport tags is what the numbers are.
Yes, sir.
So
Just for
83 retail
clarification.
cars.
Mhm.
But so I don't know how the retail cars work, but she counted over 200 folders in my file from folders of cars I've sold. So I don't know, when you say retail, I don't know
Are you
if
a
that's
wholesaler and a retailer or just a retailer?
just a retail. I just sell cars. So Like I said, I'm kind of confused when you say retail, wholesale. I know wholesale is just getting.
Retail
rid of it.
means you sell to a consumer.
Yeah.
Wholesale means you sell to another dealer who intends to
Oh.
resell it.
So resale is what it mainly do. And
So-
like I said, I had 200 some folders. I thought that was listed up.
It
there
is
as well.
210 customer deals completed during the time frame.
We're still way away though, right? We're
Right.
Yes, still.
Yeah, still way away.
I mean, the reality is we're back here because we're trying to follow the hearing officer's recommendation, but when we looked at it, we'd actually overseen the obvious, which was we're finding everybody else $50 a tag. And this guy walked out the door and didn't get correctly charged.
That's the Reader's
That's
Digest
the
version.
reality of it.
Yes.
This doesn't mean 500 tags, 210 retail, maybe they issue full tags.
Do you know what happened? I mean,
Uh,
what do you think the situation?
Basically, because I had the DMV police come to my office, somebody had got my password. I believe it had to be the secretary. They had actually even posted it on Facebook Marketplace, left my name of the company up there and everything. And, you know, since then, I got rid of her. I got rid of everybody that was basically a part of the company. Like I said, I brought in a partner and an investor to help me out in this case. But like I said, I definitely take full responsibility for not paying attention to it.
So you think she was printing them and selling them?
She had to do. I mean, I know she was because it printed, it was on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Like that.
For sale.
For sale.
What are the fines for the transport tags not having proper records kept?
Same.
Same $50 a piece.
What software do you use for
We use Dealerson.
the
POD.
DMV, the print on demand?
Title Tech.
Is that the same one?
No, it is not.
So these were definitely printed at the store.
Have we understood that yet, whether title tech can be printed remotely or not? No. They can't be? They cannot be
So it was
printed remotely.
it was just the one from the last meeting that had that hole in it. So these were,
Printed at the
they
dealership.
were printed. So they have, with Title Tech, your IP address is registered with Title Tech. So they can't be printed somewhere else. They can't be printed off site. They have to be printed in your store. So your secretary had to be printing these. If she was the one doing it, they had to be printed at your store.
You had to be billed for these.
Yes, sir. I was built for them, but like I said, I was running another business, and so I didn't pay attention to it. I had cash flow coming in for two different bank accounts, and like I said, we looked at it last time. I apologize. I overlooked it. It cost me a lot of money already with the print on demand, the $3 fees, because 700 tags is $3. That's what, $2,100. So that I lost out right there as well. So, and whatever you guys find me is going to be, add up to another loss as well.
How often are the print on demand bills sent to the dealers to pay their bill?
Oh, it's ACH'd immediately the next
Yeah.
day. So it comes out of your bank account the day following the day the tag's
It's
printed.
not like you get an invoice or something.
You don't get, no, it
It
just
just
shows as a
gradually
debit from your
continues.
bank
The
account.
dealer has the
Disappear.
opportunity to audit and look and see when, how many print on demand tags have been issued. That's right.
I think in Dealer Track, there's a summary of that, but I don't know whether Title Tech has that capability or not.
No, you good.
So at least we're definitely directly vehicle services. With print on, ACH is set up across the board with this. So it automatically comes out. To my understanding, there's no billing cycle, but each vendor is different with how they collect payment. So that's the most that I can speak to. I can't speak to, when you're billed and how often. That's set up between the dealership and the vendor.
Is there a way that that the dealer board can cross-reference the number of POD tags printed, and if it's more than 125% or 105% of the cars that the dealership is selling, that there's a flag? Because it strikes me that, if there is an assistant or somebody who has access, and it's a shame that it doesn't come out until, you get to 700 erroneous tags printed. Like, it seems like there should be a way that you can cut it off earlier. Because there's no, logically, there's no way that somebody who's selling 80 or 200 cars is printing 700 tags. Like, that should be flagged somewhere, right?
DMV does have a restriction on how much pod paper goes to the dealers, and we base it on the average amount of car sales that particular dealer has. So there's only a certain amount over, and Alicia, is it 100 and
It's 150%.
150% of sales the previous year? That's how much we will allow them to have in terms of paper. We are looking at additional reporting functions and triggers to allow us to investigate when we start seeing a higher number of
You're saying physically the paper.
right.
You,
Right now, it's based on the inventory of the paper. But there,
yeah, I mean,
we are looking at additional reporting mechanisms to allow us to track that.
And Mr. Board, for the board's knowledge as well, this DMV system, as we're all aware. Number two, we don't look at POD unless we have some type of trigger or report or suspicion that something's going on. At that point, we have the ability to run an ad hoc report on that dealership. And then we go in to do our inspection. We go in with that report in hand, we can start our research. But as far as we are concerned, this could be happening everywhere, or it could just be happening in isolated places. We don't know. But we don't, unless we have a reason to suspect it, we don't want to report it.
And Alicia,
Yeah, I would like to follow up and maybe this is answer the question. You do not have the authority to just cut off access. The dealer has to be given an opportunity for hearing. If there's alleged abuse that is found with the system, that's the only, our hands are tied when it comes to that. So there's not, I'm not gonna say there's not much we can do because we do investigate. But in terms of just being able to trigger and cut someone off, we don't have.
yeah, and I'm not suggesting that. It just feels like, I mean, I'm highly confident that, you know, these two situations that we're hearing today aren't the only two. And if people are so brazen that they're putting Facebook ads saying, I've got dealer tags to sell, it seems like the word on the street is that this is kind of allowed, or it's, you know, like I wouldn't, if I was a criminal, I wouldn't advertise on Facebook Marketplace that I'm doing something criminal. So the fact that it's so brazen makes me feel like this is, well, you know, so it seems like it wouldn't be a huge tech lift. You know, maybe I'm making some assumptions there. To just say, like, if there's a dealer, we know that a dealer sold 80 or 200 cars last year. So if they're printing more than a 12th, or more than 125% of a 12th of that a month, that we don't need to cut them off or get additional authority. But we should let them know that it seems like there's additional activity on your account. And I get that at the bank. I get that at, you know, everywhere. If there's suspicious activity, I get a warning immediately.
How you say that dealer plates are restricted? I mean, this gentleman asked for 200 dealer plates. They're not gonna get it. They're gonna get it based on the number of sales. Why can we do that with POV? This is becoming like a two-headed monster. We just keep seeing these cases. I don't know how many dealers are in Virginia. There could be hundreds and thousands of them doing it without the inspection. We don't know.
It seems
Dealer
like,
price, I'm sorry, dealer price used to be a good source of using for renting, and dealer price are restricted. But this is a way is PODs are easier to make it a copy and sell them for $100, $200, making
Yeah, just
a lot of
it
money.
feels like, you know, that just the pay, like that's not an appropriate mechanism. I don't think to limit it, just like we don't give you enough paper,
yeah.
right?
Well, I don't think, okay, yeah, so I don't believe that it's DMV's role to give them a heads up that we think that they're using a whole more than usual. That's on them. Dealers should be able to be tracking their work and tracking what's being done on their behalf. I will say, based on a previous case, we've instituted a new process that is requiring reviews by our vehicle services staff and then forwarding on to our DMV law enforcement staff any cases that we feel are problematic. So we do have cases under investigation. as a result of increased tracking, and we are looking for additional ways to do that.
Yeah, so, but whether it's, maybe it's not DMV's role, it should be somebody's role or technology's role to identify suspicious activity. I mean, that's part of our job, is to ensure that people who want to run this business can do so successfully, that the consumer is not, treated poorly, et cetera. It doesn't, to just cross-reference some basic numbers via technology. I mean, we should at least try, right? Like, William, it's probably the dealer board's part of our obligation, or maybe just implicit obligation, to like ensure that these people who are running these businesses are notified if there's suspicious activity before they're brought in front of us with a $61,000 fine based on something that we probably could have predicted months ago.
Michael?
I had something. I mean, I'm just thinking that since last year, we've had this issue with the print on demand in several board meetings. This is process. It has really nothing to do with what these gentlemen are standing here for. Well, I think we need to be focused on that. We need to talk about process, at the end of the board meeting, like we always talk about topics that we think should be changed. And I've heard, there's been several times that we get off topic here and we're not addressing the real issue.
I mean, just to throw my 2 cents in the hat, Michael, the definition of a dealer operator is the person who's in charge of the day-to-day operations of the dealership. That person's empowered with everything that takes place under that roof, including the connections into the DMV's computer and everything. So that person who's going through our class at the dealer operator level, and they're getting educated and they understand all these things, if they're going there with their eyes closed, there's not much you can do about that. But I can tell you that they're being told what the right thing is. And these fines that are coming out right now, anywhere from $30,000 up to
We've done 236.
$236,000. I can promise you that people are getting the point. They're understanding this is no longer a joke, and the word's spreading pretty quickly right now throughout the dealer community. So
I agree with all of that. This just seems like something that technology can, new process, technology can help.
Yeah, I agree with Michael, and I don't want to drag this out anymore, but I mean, back in the old days when we had the paper 30-day plates, there was a limit on the number of those you could order as a store. My store, I couldn't order 1,200. And DMV then mandated that dealers go online and go to these systems, and and it's not an excuse at all. I mean, it's his responsibility, and I think we're going to take care of that on that end. But at the same time, we've created a system that has these gaping holes in it that allow these things to happen. And I think we need to at some point have a discussion about closing some of those holes. I mean, it's just too easy for a dealer to allow it to happen, have it happen, whatever the case may be. So that's my 2 cents. But.
Yeah. And just to clarify, well, I believe it is the responsibility of the dealer operator to keep control of their operation. Absolutely. From an investigation standpoint, a review standpoint, DMV needs to be and is looking at what's going on. And we are actively, like I said, we are actively looking for additional mechanisms that we can put into our system, additional reporting that comes out that will allow us to track that quicker and more thoroughly. Absolutely.
So let me ask you, what type of additional education or what have you done to ever further your understanding of the new dealer class that you took?
Well, we're scheduled to take the dealer board class again. All of us in September to retake the test.
But you're the dealer operator
Yes,
now,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And you're going to take the test.
So yes, sir. So I'm scheduled to take the test in September. I believe both of us is going back to take the test. But we are, me and my wife, we are busy. We've been in business a little bit over 18 years. So we know how to run businesses. We actually own quite a few companies ourselves. We came into the dealership, we've been kind of diving in, figuring out what was going on and seeing, all the mistakes that have been made. And there's a lot. So and Marquise understands what's been going on. He know
he had a lot going on himself. He didn't have any support. You know, me and my wife always want to be in the dealership opportunity. So we saw this opportunity and we coming in, we putting out some fires. I just want you guys to know that we are going to do our part as business owners, as business people, like we've been doing for years to come now. Reasons why we're successful. We're going to get this dealership operating on the level it needs to. We've been doing all the back end research. We do have dealer center now, which is amazing. Like dealer center, the way it works and all of the, attributes that they have for us. So we can see that, that's the route we need to go. Is already set up. We have a website. We just changed our logos. Like we're kind of changing the dealership completely around. We got rid of everybody that was a problem or a potential problem. So we can kind of turn things around. So, all I have for you guys today is my word, his word, my wife's word. She's a bookkeeper. We're going to make sure the numbers are together. Everything is going to be intact. Like we're going to do things the right way. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Like I said, I can only give you my word, and I challenge you to give us the opportunity to get it right.
So what was your idea, after you took the dealer class, new deal? What was your idea of what would happen or what could happen, if you didn't do things right? I mean, did you think that you could be put in a situation like this?
I didn't. I've had E&Es for about 3 or 4 years now. This is the first time I've been in front of you guys. I've never had any type of infractions before this. I've never been, any type of situation with the DMV board or DMV itself before this incident happened. And that's just allowing the wrong people to get around me and trusting in the wrong people. Like I said.
But you understand, too, that what position your salespeople could put you in.
Yeah, I understand
where you
that.
could be sued for $200,000 or $300,000.
I definitely understand that now.
You didn't understand that before?
I had no idea.
That they could sue you for that kind of money if one of your salespeople did something wrong?
I might have not got into the business if I would have known all of that, or some of the things that I know now. Like I said, I had no idea. This is a very lucrative business, but if you don't dot all your I's and cross all your T's, it could leave you in a hole as well.
I can tell you that probably most people who've ever been in business for any time at all realize that can happen in any situation when you're in business, and whatever kind of business you're in. So I mean, it's part of paying attention.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Now the board is, last meeting we had 61 on the fine. That's compared to other cases. Larger, but same numbers of violations. But how do you feel about paying for $61,000?
$61,000.
So and listen, we understand that we have to pay the plate. Like we get it. 61,000 would really hurt us as a company, as a business. The dealership is already struggling, and we came in as investors to kind of help, get the dealership going. So $61,000 would really put us in a major bind, almost closing the dealership. We just ask for some grace and some leniency. Even if you guys should say, we'll give you 90 days, if your stuff ain't right, we're gonna close. Like we would love to be under that type of condition, because we understand that we have to do things the right way. There's no other way to do it but the right way, and it does cost. It's a cost to be in a business. I don't think everybody totally understand that and get it when it comes to business. So as far as like staff and paying people and make sure people are on payroll and us being able to make money and create, wealth within our company, that's where we're going to get to. That's our goal. We've already begun to turn things around, and we've only been around for about 60 days.
I think we all understand.
So yes, sir.
So Mr. Johnson, just a question about the transport tags. It's your contention that you just don't have records for those, but were you the one printing the transport tags, and what were you? I mean, so 653 transport tags. What were you moving back and forth that you needed to print 653 transport tags?
Some of them were like duplicates for the same vehicle, moving them from like one place. It's only 3 days that they last, 3 or 4 days that they last. So if I drop it off for inspection, I might put another one up there to pick it up, or if if I take it to the body shop and it sits over there for a week, I might print another one to pick it up. So I printed them out multiple times for some of the same vehicles. I didn't know it was that many, but. Yeah.
So it's your contention that the nefarious part of this is the temp tags that your secretary was printing, but the transport tags were used for legitimate business purposes. You just didn't keep a good
I'm
record.
not saying that she didn't print some of those temp tags as well. I don't know the exact record, but yes, the majority of it.
Why would you have
If I have a guy that was taking, if I let somebody else go, I have my dealer tag, but if I got somebody taking it and driving it somewhere, then since they're not on my insurance for the dealer tags, then I would just, print the tag.
You have to be an employee to drive on the dealer tag. So if you had the body shop guy pick it up or whatever, you have to use a transport tag.
take them to the auction. The body shop doesn't need to have time on it. They just drop it off.
If an employee picks it up, but if you have somebody else driving it, then you have to use a transport tag.
I think the test you take to get a dealer's license at DMV mentions all these things, and how you're supposed to do them.
Right.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'd like to go ahead and take a vote on the existing motion, and then depending on the outcome of that existing motion, we'll identify next steps.
Can I ask a question before you do that? If we vote no, does this have to come back before the committee to create a new motion?
No, if you vote no and you kill this motion, we'll come up with a new motion.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of the current motion?
Can you repeat the motion? Yes, the motion is civil penalty, $6,100, inspection, satisfactory inspection, and Mr. Johnson would take the dealer operator course.
Okay, we'll start with the ayes. Nays?
Nay.
Okay, that motion fails.
Y'all don't need to stand up there, by the way.
Okay,
William, what is in terms of the payment plan, the maximum duration is 12 months?
Yes, yes. That payment plan option puts a tremendous strain on us because we end up tracking it. They don't come to us, we have to track them down in most cases to get the money. Now, I mean, if the board says otherwise, we'll do otherwise, but we just want to make sure that they pay it. They have a time frame. They'll agree to terms and a payment date before we even get started. But probably in more than 50% of the cases, we are actively tracking people down to get the money. We suspend them now, don't get me wrong, we suspend them. And once we suspend them, a few days later, they might respond, but we have to constantly remind people, you owe us this much money on this day. But that's not, we'll take care of that. But,
I have a question. Are the transport tags over sold also?
we look at it like this. When we go to a dealership and see that they have so many tags issued, that means to us a car has been sold. And we're looking for support and documentation to support the fact that the car has been sold. In the case of a transport tag, had he kept the receipt showing that the vehicle was assigned to a vehicle to go to inspection and stuff, that's all we were looking for. That's all we'd be looking for. But we don't know that.
What is fair to say on this 500 some detail, PODs, 700, 600 transport tax? How many of them they had a couple of 210 sales? Some of them have to be particular. We hit them.
All we're doing is we're assessing versus what we don't see. The ones that they have, they can show us. We don't count those. We just go for the ones that we don't see anything to support it. And then Mr. Board, again, a question about the payment plan. Y'all want to give them a longer period of time? We're fine with that. We're here to do what you want us to do.
I can promise you that most of the cases we heard today, that if they were assessed a fine, that they'd be out of business. So you either go ahead and suspend their license or just set them up for failure. Because there's no way they're going to pay back that kind of money. There's no way possible.
Yeah. Chris,
I've got a substitute motion to make, and maybe we'll consider this. Okay? New motion. You know, based on the testimony from this gentleman that a substantial portion of those transfer tags were actually legitimate being used, he just didn't have the evidence for those. I think, and he's come back, this is his second time back to us. He's obviously not feeding us a line. I believe what happened. I believe we should cut his $61,000 fine to $30,500. Due and payable. William can work out the payment plan on a year, whatever it is. And I think we move with that. Dealer operator class, obviously, and follow-up inspection. Multiple inspections, 90 days and 6 months after the 90 days, so 9 months.
Okay, is there any discussion on this motion?
I'll
New
second
motion?
it.
Second, thank you. Andrew Wiley.
I was gonna
Second.
make this same motion. If you just charge him $50 for the temp tags, it comes out to 28 and change. Add a fine on for not keeping records on the transport tags. It seems given the information, the fact that the hearing officer is not here to explain, or we don't have an explanation about the $6,100, why they wanted to reduce it, or if it was a clerical mistake. I'm good with that.
Why don't we just say 28 baht for temp tag without pass?
Keep it simple.
I think we keep it simple at 30,500.
You already got a motion that's been seconded.
Yeah.
Gotta keep,
I
gotta
mean,
move
it's-
forward, guys.
It's close enough.
Okay, we ready for a vote?
So to repeat, 30,500 civil penalty, dealer operator class, inspection within 90 days, and then second inspection 6 months after the first inspection.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. This motion, new motion carries. Okay, now we're moving on to new business. Euclid Auto LLC and Raymond G. LaFond.
Yeah, Commissioner, the dealer practice board met earlier today. We have 3 cases for consideration by the full board. We did approve our meeting minutes, and we will go ahead and give the first resolution, which is tab 1. Tab 1 is Euclid Auto LLC, Raymond Gregory LaFond.
Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning 6 Euclid Auto LLC and Raymond LaFond for alleged violations of Virginia Code sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following action should be taken against 6 Euclid Auto and Raymond LaFond. 1, assess a civil penalty of $500. I'm sorry, civil penalty of $6,650. 2, 6 Euclid Auto shall be inspected by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative by August 9th, 2022, and that inspection shall be satisfactory. And 3, Raymond LaFond shall successfully complete the dealer operator course by November 9th, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Raymond LaFond hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $6,650, and the 6 Euclid Auto dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative on or before August 9th, 2020, and Raymond LaFond shall successfully complete the dealer operator course by November the 9th, 2020. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failure to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses, certificates issued by the board until such time the 6 Uslet Auto Sales Dealership and Raymond LaFawn complies with the board's mandates.
Commissioner, that is our motion.
Is there a second to the motion? Is there, would the dealer like to come up and make any remarks?
Nobody here.
Nobody here, okay. Okay, any discussion on the motion? No, hearing none, we will call a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries.
Tab 2, Car-Mart LLC, Dennis Rogers.
Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Car-Mart and Dennis Rogers for alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1539, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. And whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Car-Mart and Dennis Rogers. 1, assess a civil penalty of $38,050, and 2, revoke all licenses and certificates issued by the board to Dennis Rogers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Dennis Rogers hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $38,050 and revoke all licenses and certificates issued by the board to Dennis Rogers.
Commissioner, that is our motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Wiley seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? I assume the dealer has not shown up to speak. Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay. Call for a vote. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Tab 3, Car Club Automotives, Gerald Carper.
Whereas the board has reviewed and considered the facts and evidence and the report of an informal fact-finding conference as prepared by the hearing officer concerning Car Plug Automotive and Gerald Carper for alleged violations of Virginia Code Sections 46.2-1529, 46.2-1539, 46.2-1550, 46.2-1559, and 46.2-1575, number 6. Whereas based on due consideration, the board believes that the following actions should be taken against Car Plug Automotive and Gerald Carper. 1, assess a civil penalty of $51,000. 2, Car Plug Automotive shall be inspected by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative in 3 months, 9 months, and 18 months. And all those inspections shall be satisfactory. 3, Gerald Carper shall successfully complete the dealer operator course by November the 9th, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the board mandates that Gerald Carper hereby be assessed a civil penalty of $51,000 and the Car Plug Automotive dealership shall satisfactorily pass an inspection conducted by a motor vehicle dealer board field representative in 3 months, 9 months, and 18 months. And Gerald Carper shall successfully complete the dealer operator course by November the 9th, 2022. Therefore, be it further resolved by the board that failures to comply with the board's mandates by the required dates will result in the suspension of all licenses and certificates issued by the board until such time the Car Plug Automotive dealership and Gerald Carper successfully complies with the board's mandates.
That is our motion.
Is there a second on the motion? Mr. Fisher seconds. Okay, is there, the dealer would like to provide any comments?
Yeah, please.
my only comment that I have with that is just that we be allowed to have time to come up with the funds. I believe with the way the business is going now, that we will be able to come up with the funds in due time. But if we was allowed time to make the funds to do it, we would I wouldn't have no reason to oppose on that.
The time frame.
Right now, unless you say otherwise. If you say otherwise, we'll do otherwise.
Well, obviously, you know, I think that it's probably not gonna be able to pay that in a year. Unless the fine's reduced. And it's also in the motion where the business is being closed until they pay it. Is that correct?
No,
No.
as long as they pay on time, they stay in
It's in
operation.
operation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, with it, the reason we have a payment plan is so that they can afford to pay it. And so if stretching it out to 12 months doesn't enable them to afford to pay it, then it's not necessarily.
Well, let's be fair. When we started this process, the fines were $500 and $1,000. This thing we're going through right now just started last September. Okay, so this is new. So no, we don't have a problem. So we want to do a longer period of time. We'll find that. As a matter of fact, that'd be probably something we'll bring to the board to discuss policy going forward in the next board meeting. So we're all on the same page.
All the ones you've done so far, like the $230,000 one, that's gotta be paid in a year.
Yeah, but they went out of business. They shut down.
So that means we don't get any money.
But we don't get it
We don't
anyway.
get it anyway, state.
It goes to the
I know.
Department of Transportation. But let me say this to you though. We've had several of them that are over 40,000 that they have paid and they're paying on. So a lot of people aren't paying it and they're paying it according to the payment plan. We work with them. Now, again, 51,000 is a lot of money. And I told you earlier, we usually require half down or something. If you want to work give a longer period of time, we have no problem with that. We'll come before the board later to discuss the process. And I'm saying this for this reason also. When we do this payment plan thing, some places, I think in statute, are allowed to do so. And part of the payment plan is a fee to us for allowing the payment plan. We get nothing out of this. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to do the letters, to do the tracking, to suspend, to unsuspend. We don't want all that work. We can help it. But at the same time, maybe down the road, if there's a $10 fee for each payment that we get to keep or something like that, it won't make it any better, but at least we get something out of it.
So the previous down payment on the previous case, just a question, was $15,000.
It could have been, they might have said, they could have been, they might have said, I can give you 5,000 down and I can give you so much, I can give you 5,000 for the next
So
month.
the amount down can be adjusted without any
absolutely.
changes.
Absolutely. That's just a starting point. That's negotiation. Yes. Absolutely.
So if we want to talk about payment plans and how it affects the staff and process and all that, that's for after this. But
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah. I think what I'd love to hear is that we have the flexibility. It sounds like you're saying
We do
we
have
have the flexibility.
We do.
To establish a payment plan that works. for the
Yes.
person who's making it.
Absolutely.
Probably based on the amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you need any kind of motion for that, or you
No.
can do that on
We'll
your
do
own?
that way.
We would
You
gladly
guys just let me
appreciate
do it.
it.
You do it. Yeah.
We would gladly appreciate more time. That would definitely help us.
Yeah.
come
We got
to
flexibility. We can
terms.
do
So
it.
we don't have to make a substitute motion for it.
Then we'll do that at the end of the meeting and then it would go.
No,
Let William handle it,
no,
right?
the fact that we're having a discussion now, that's all I need. I'm fine.
All right. So we need to vote.
Anything
Vote on
else?
what's on the table.
I'm sorry. I'm looking over at our attorney just to get clarification.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you all are discussing it properly. I mean, I think maybe just to circle it all.
Yeah.
In this individual case, perhaps you determine what you want to do with the time limit. But what I hear Mr. Moore saying, like, the discussion is maybe larger for the board to have with William or at a board meeting as to how to maybe move forward with the amounts, because the amounts have been significantly going up. This is kind of a new phenomenon that's been going on. But anything can be decided in this case, if you want to make a determination by a board to give William some guidance as to how you want to do it in this case, because of the amount, and then as time goes on to find out a procedure, I think that's fine.
Does that need to be as part of the motion in that case, if we were to go that route?
I don't think it has to be. I mean,
Okay.
if you want to require it,
then you can put it in there, or you can have a discussion. Or you can just ask William to make a, do it, do what he normally does and speak with them and make a good decision on how long maybe their time frame should be.
Yeah, I don't think it's the full, I wouldn't want the board to be. You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. You had more to.
With the allotted time, me and him had discussed, how we was gonna be able to do this, what we could afford to come up with. Could I present that to you guys now?
You don't need to do that.
We
You
don't
can
do
do
that.
that, do that. with
Talk to Wade.
We'll talk. Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
assuming
Thank
no further discussion, we'll have a vote on the motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
We did not discuss any other topics. The committee did adjourn, and our next meeting is July 11th.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. Moving now to the licensing committee chair, Mr. Slaughter.
Thank you. License committee was called to order. Alice called the roll, verified that we had a quorum. There was no public comments made. We approved the meeting minutes from the March 14th meeting. There was no old business from the floor, as well as no new business from the floor. So we scheduled our next meeting is July 11th, 9 a.m. Look forward to it. Thank you very much. Sure.
Slaughter. And now moving to the advertising committee.
That's me. I
Yes.
think. Okay. The advertising committee had a forum and meeting was called to order. The approval for the March 14th meeting summary was adopted or approved. There was no old business and there was no new business. And our next scheduled meeting will be July the 11th at 9 a.m.
And now the transaction recovery fund committee.
Madam Commissioner, we met this morning. We had a quorum. There was no public comment. We approved the March 14th meeting summary. There was no old business and there was no new business. And we adjourned, and the next meeting for the transaction recovery fund meeting will be July 11th, 2022.
Now we'll turn to old business, and I will turn things over to William Childers to talk about the dealer portal.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Ford, appreciate it. Okay, the dealer portal update. This is gonna be a quick update. We having a kickoff meeting, May 10th, 10 a.m. Since this is a kickoff meeting, the purpose of the meeting is for the vendor who is systems automation to introduce the project team and to briefly discuss the objective of the project and to give an outline or some type of timeline of what we can expect for the project. Since this is not a meeting, it's an informational only type of meeting, any board member that wants to tune in can do so. And what we'll do is we'll provide the link to you later today for those who want to tune in, as well as to the AG's office. But this meeting again is from on May 10th from 10 to 11 a.m. Right, John? Okay, thank you. So again, if you want to participate, we'll send a link out to you there. That way you can just, this is via Zoom. This is a virtual meeting. It's not in person. So it's a virtual meeting. And if you want to, you can tune in to get an idea of what to expect over the next year. Now, we'll tell you at a very high level that the project plan is set up for 1 year. But the project, and this 1 year has delays built into it. So hopefully the project will be delivered within the year. But we'll learn more tomorrow. 2 days from now. Tomorrow, I'm sorry, tomorrow, in terms of what the vendor is going to do. So any questions about the dealer portal? And add to it, key DMV people will be involved in this process because we are connected to them as far as the data goes. We are into their system, the dealer portion of their system. So we do our work in which they share the information with us. So some of their people will be involved in this process as well as we try to put this system in place to better what we're doing right now. So any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and now an update on House Bill 316, William.
Yes, House Bill 316, which is just recently passed, which goes into effect July the 1st, 2022. This is legislation that was sponsored by the BIADA, which is for the recertification process. Some of the key changes in this bill that take place July 1st is that recertification of dealer operators will take place every 24 months versus the 36 months that's in place now. The recertification course will be instructor-led, which means that it'll be either in the classroom or virtual, but it'll be instructor-led. It'll be a live course. Duration of the course will be 4 hours versus the 6 hours it is right now. The registration fee for the course is $50 starting July 1st versus $25 that it is right now. And that $25 additional fee does come to the dealer board, and that is part of the fee that we're using to charge the exam with. And there is an end of course exam. And since these are dealer operators who are already licensed and who've already taken a 2-day class and passed the class, this is not going to be a fail type course, but it's an exam they need to take nonetheless at the end of the course. And the legislation also changed the maximum fee that a vendor can charge for the course from $250 up to $300. And that particular fee is based on each vendor. So they will have the ability to charge what they feel, but not to exceed $300. Now, over the past couple of months, since the legislation passed, the board staff has been meeting with the 3 vendors of record. During those meetings, we have sat down with them to discuss the curriculum, the content of the class. We have discussed instructors, course frequency, and transfer of information and fees to the dealer board. In tab 5, your book is in tab 5, you will see the contract that we have put in place, that we have drawn up. And this contract is a contract that will be signed by each vendor once the board approves their application based off our recommendation. The contract before it's signed, I will have a contract reviewed by the Attorney General's office, Christian Parish, just to make sure that we're not missing some obvious things. I think we're covered, but I still want Christian to look at it just to be sure. Now, with that said, the vendors were told to, their proposals were ready to get them to us. The staff has reviewed the proposals, and I'm now before you asking you for permission to move forward with them. So with that said, I recommend that the board approve Compass Systems proposal to be an authorized dealer operator certification provider. I say that because we have reviewed their proposal, and their proposal meets the requirements of House Bill 316. That's my first one. And that will need to be a vote by the board. I'm asking that they approve Compass Systems proposal to be an authorized dealer operator.
Okay, let's have a, did you have a discussion?
I was gonna make a motion.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion. We approve Compass Systems as a licensed provider for the recertification portion of the motivated video.
I'll second.
Quick question. Are you saying that you're going to have a motion for each individual one?
Yes, yes.
Okay, assuming no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Oh, thank
It was
you.
second. It was second.
Was?
Yeah, it was second. Okay. I also recommend that the board approve JTZ's proposal to be an authorized dealer operator recertification provider.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Bannister seconded it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the third provider, BIADA, is still working on their proposal, and I anticipate that they will have something to us in the next couple of days. With that said, I asked the board to allow me or grant me the authority to approve their proposal once they complete the requirements.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, and the reason why that is because this goes into effect July the 1st. our next board meeting is not until July 14th, and we don't want to hold them up, and they can get this done pretty quickly.
July 8th.
July 11th. It's our next board meeting. So that is that's my portion dealing with House Bill 316.
And just for clarification, who seconded the last? No, I think you
He made the
you
motion.
gave the
He made the
motion.
motion. Rob Fisher was second.
Rob Fisher second. Thank you. Okay, we'd now like to provide an opportunity to VADA and VIAVA to provide any updates they'd like to give.
Good morning, Ralston King with the Virginia Auto Dealers Association. I'll just highlight two items of importance. The last time I was here, we talked about the Virginia Overtime Wage Act. That was a bill that passed in 2021. We had to come back in 2022 to fix the car dealership specific exemption for under FLSA federal level. That bill was signed by the governor in April, so that will go into effect July 1. That was a critical component of our legislative agenda. The other bill was a franchise bill that focused on warranty and recall. That bill came to the governor's office. There was a slight technical amendment that the governor provided working with legislative services. We had no problem with that technical amendment, and neither did the General Assembly when they met a few weeks ago. So they approved that amendment, and then it will go to the governor's desk to be signed. And the likelihood of that signing is very solid right now. We've got our upcoming convention in Asheville, North Carolina, June 19th through the 22nd. We look forward to seeing some of you all there. And that's all at this time. Happy to answer any questions.
The warranty bill, can you just a little clarification on what that means?
Sure. So there were 4 different components, but the main priority was on warranty recall and making sure that in our code for about 25 years, it stated that under warranty and recall, a dealership should get reimbursed the equivalent of a retail rate. You look at your last 100 repair orders under the retail rate, and that's what should be the reimbursement. For the first time ever, there was a court case down in Roanoke that kind of muddied the waters under that scenario. And actually believe warranty and recall should be included in those repair orders. Kind of tightened up the language, made sure that there was some clarification there. And then the other piece was on full reimbursement for rental vehicles under warranty and recall. There's been a significant push from some of the manufacturers to say that they're going to reimburse $30 or $40 a day, when in reality, the rental vehicles under some circumstances are $80 to $100 a day. And so we asked and requested in the legislation for full reimbursement under a warranty and recall situation for a rental vehicle or substitute transportation. Those are the 2 main priorities for the franchise bill. Hopefully that answers your question.
I've got a.
I'm sorry, say that again. Yeah, I mean, we worked with them prior to the legislative session, and then we worked with them during the General Assembly session. They did not oppose the bill. I think they saw the writing on the wall in the sense of that's what the statute had been for many years, and this was really just a cleanup fix. So I think our expectation is that they will fulfill their legal responsibility. It will be hopefully signed by the governor very soon. The General Assembly just made the small technical changes that were put forward by the governor. We expect it to be signed by the governor and go into law, and that would be July 1.
So it basically touches on how the rate's computed, not the amount of time that's required.
Correct.
Got a question about your overtime bill
Yes.
that you mentioned there. Could you clarify how that affects independent used car deal or new car dealers?
And our attorney might be able to comment on that.
Yeah, basically what it does, what the legislation did was put back in all the FLSA overtime exemptions for, so whatever you're doing on federal level for overtime exemptions, you will satisfy the Virginia Overtime Wage Act. The specific exemption for partsmen, mechanics, and salespersons is for I think it's a dealership with a service department is the way that's phrased, but there's also a 7I exemption for commission sales. If you have exemptions that work for your dealership, under the federal code, this change will make all of those exemptions effective in Virginia.
In Virginia, okay.
So it doesn't matter whether you're using an auto-specific one for largely franchised dealer operations, or if you're using a commission sales, or if you're using an administrative, however your exemptions from overtime are working in your dealership under federal law, those same exemptions will now be in Virginia law specifically.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, ADA.
Morning, Gonzalo Wada with the Virginia Independent Automobile Dealers Association. We had a very productive legislative session. Obviously, our primary focus was on House Bill 316, which we were very pleased passed, and it was signed by the governor. Will go into effect in July, as you all know. So another issue that we were very pleased that the General Assembly finally addressed was the catalytic converter theft that has been rampant for quite some time and became much worse over the last 2 years. So we were very pleased that as of July 1st, it'll be a Class 6 felony if you commit that crime. And it also puts the onus on salvage industry on how they collect or pay for these catalytic converters in their arena. So that's pretty much all I have. I'll be very brief, but if you have any questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them at this time. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Gonzalo.
Is there any old business from the floor? No, okay. In terms of new business, we are scheduled for our next motor vehicle dealer board meeting on July 11th, 22 in this room. Any new business from the floor?
Yeah, I'd like to bring it, if we can, small, very small, but in situations like just happened yesterday with it being Mother's Day. Some of us had to leave home last night and drive and leave our wives and children to be here for a Monday morning meeting. So if it's possible, and if it's Father's Day or it's Mother's Day or one of those holidays, that we can have a meeting some other day than Monday, so that we don't have to leave our wives and children during Mother's Day.
Any discussion on that? Further comments?
I mean, I like that idea. I prefer not to have to leave home on those days. Maybe a different week or something, move it a week when those things come up.
That's only on when it affects a holiday, that specifically Mother's Day. That's.
We don't care about the fathers.
Well, you do.
I'd like to get out of town.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I think Mr. Childress can handle that and make sure that that doesn't occur in the future. Appreciate you raising that comment. And Mr. Childress, do you have anything to report as part of your executive director's report?
I do, not very much, but I do have a few things I'd like to report. Last meeting, we dealt with a lot of people retiring and leaving. And also during the meeting, I informed you that we have several vacancies that we were filling. So I'm pleased to announce to the board that for the first time in 2.5 years, it will be 100% staff as of tomorrow. All positions are filled. And with that said, I'd like to introduce two of the latest hires, of which I've started recently and one just started today. So with that said, I want to first introduce to you Omar Hamidi. Omar is in the Northern Virginia district. Okay, and Omar, we hired him from the Washington, D.C. DMV office, but prior to that, he was a DMV employee. He's come back with us to be a field rep in the Northern Virginia area. And his district includes Alexandria, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Fairfax City, Valkeir County, Manassas City, and Manassas Park, and Prince William. That's the area he'll be working on. Omar, if you want to just say a few words about it, sir. Give a little bit of background. Thank you, Omar. He's been with us for a couple of weeks, and today is her first day here. And Jama Smith, Jama she's going to be the Richmond area field rep which is a part-time position, but she will be responsible for Chesterfield County, south of the James portion, Fluvanna County, Goochland County, Hanover County, and Rickover County, and Richmond City. Jama starts today, so Jama, will introduce yourself and a little bit about your background.
Jana Smith. I have retired from the state from the Virginia Alcoholic Beverage Board. Was there for a couple of years and worked as a special agent in charge, and took some time off and spent some time with my family.
And for the board, these are two people we just hired. We're very proud and pleased with them. Very excited to have them on board. During the interview process, not only did they have outstanding interviews, but they have outstanding backgrounds that complement what we do. They should be an easy fit into our organization. Their experiences should make it so they're quick learners to how we do things. I'm looking forward to the work. I think we got two great employees that we just hired. I'm looking forward to their future contributions, which I know is going to be substantial and outstanding. So again, welcome. And my last thing, Madam Chair, is that we touched on this earlier, but in talking to some of the talking to the trade associations and some of the things we discussed today, we're going to go back as a staff and start looking at policies and our practices. And we're going to start making some recommendations on those policies, bring them back to the board for the board to discuss and to vote on. It's not going to all happen at one time, but over a period of time, we're going to look at everything and touch on everything. Because times have changed, we'll move forward. Some of these things were put in place 25 years ago, some were put in place 15 years ago. But nonetheless, it's probably time to review these policies and directives to see what we can do to update them to be more efficient and to get in time. A lot of these things are based off the laws, which have not changed, but still the practices have changed. And it's probably time for them to tweak. So with that said, I'm not having nothing else. That's the question.
And there's no need to have a discussion on payment plan durations or anything like that. We'll give you the flexibility and you adjust the APR based on the duration. Really?
I wish there was an APR.
William,
Yeah.
Like it's a shame that it takes so much time to manage collections.
Yep.
Just a question, is there a way that you can get ACHs on? No, for real, I mean,
for real.
There are ways to make it easier than having someone chase down and check every month. And to the extent, they can happen automatically, save the staff some time.
We'll look into that. Yes. We'll look into that.
Staff spend a lot of time. Then what happens is they get late, they suspend the license, then they pay it, then they got to it's reinstate them. It's just a lot of work.
Do that stuff.
I mean, every business has a bank account, and as long as you can ACH, that if they're insufficient funds, then it's an automatic trigger that money.
And maybe you should consider an outside collection agency that administer all that stuff, so your staff doesn't have to do that and charge a fee for it.
If you legally can charge it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, if there's no further business.
I'd like to
Oh,
ask a question,
sorry.
please. As we've talked about this and several times, it's come up before all of us. Chris had mentioned it this morning. Is this something we can do to better educate salespeople so they don't, I know, but said, oh, no, you said that gets shot down right away. Well, how about the dealer owners that are sitting in here? Maybe you don't have that many employees and maybe you can control your store. But what about the ones that don't, that put new car dealers and independent dealers in jeopardy to, be sued in so many different ways or operate and on these print on demand things, where they don't know about it or putting it on marketplace. I mean, just people, even if it was the secretary, I'm just saying, like I think you said 20 questions. I mean, even if you could get it, I wouldn't want to delay new car stores from getting salespeople licensed. I would not want to change that. But there should be a time period where they need to be able to complete some kind of education, put something in place where they can better, familiarize themselves with the laws and regulations in the state and what they're doing. And you know what? I think they should be made accountable. Here are these people out here printing on demand, putting this man's business in jeopardy. And, you know, there's no way to even press any charges against somebody that stole $100 grand. Well, what happens to that? What is it? Does the owner go after this person? You know, I mean, what's that about? Can this person go to jail for that? They should be able to. That's fraud. You know, and I just think that there's some areas that we overlook a lot, you know, and I just wondered if there's any discussion on that anybody could put in their 2 cents about how, you know, what we deal with here all the time.
So Don, what you're speaking about is further, deeper education for salespeople. Is there any appetite for that from you guys at all, that salespeople go through a more rigorous training process?
Don't misunderstand. I think they should still be able to get their sales. We don't want to go through a time period where in new car stores and you have a lot of transition where they have to wait to get their salespeople's license. You know, I don't want to see that happen. But I think there should be something more to be accountable to.
I would agree with you that 20 questions on a test to go out there and handle all the things they handle is probably, they're handling all the personal information with the consumers.
Wow.
They're handling
Yeah.
all
I mean,
that.
it's
They're
unbelievable.
closing deals, all those things. So,
Yeah.
any thoughts from you guys at all about that?
Well, it's only 20 questions, but they have to know a lot more than that. And you know, I don't know if it's how easy it is for all your salespeople to pass the test, but you know, I've had people go back and forth. Maybe a recertification after a year or two instead of just automatically renewing their sales license. Maybe we retest, they give us some more tests.
There's a good idea.
Well, they have to pass something originally that's more than 20.
Well, I mean, 20 questions, I mean, you have to know a lot of information to to answer those 20 questions. So I don't know if we need to add more to it. I think that we need to maybe have a refresher every couple of years or something like that of the same type of stuff, or when the laws change or updated so they can keep up with it. You know, I think maybe something like that, but adding more questions or whatever, I don't know if that's the answer.
Yeah, and how many questions are the salesperson? Is it 20? Okay. So I confirm.
And they only have to pass 60.
Is it randomized?
It is randomized.
Yeah.
Comes from 80, is that correct? Comes from 80 originals,
A little bit more than that.
120?
Yeah.
But it's less about the number of questions, it's about what they, you know, there are materials that they can review and there's training that they can do. And each business owner should be responsible for the training of their people. I don't know that we wanted to take that on as a board. And I think we've done a great job at holding the dealer operator accountable for that, fines and potential forfeiture of their license. So
I guess what Don's saying, Mike, was just that these salespeople come in and literally they're handed the reins. It's a mistake from the dealer operator's perspective. I understand that, but they're handed the reins and they've got almost no skin in the game, and they really don't. Their knowledge level is not that of a dealer operator. There's a big difference between going online and figuring out which question to pick at a multiple choice versus going to a 2-day class where a dealer operator goes through now.
yeah, I guess but that's every business, right? You got employees,
I get it.
they need to be trained. That's your job as the business owner.
Michael, car dealers, you know, that have many employees, they have other things to do. Their job is not
Yeah.
to be on the floor and train the salespeople, managers. License. But you ask, it's almost impossible.
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's up to the business owner to ensure that their team gets trained,
Well, it just takes one bad salesman to screw everything up.
like every business, right?
I guess what we're talking about, Michael, is probably compliance versus sales training. Sales training, how to get your customer, get them sold, get them out the door, smiles, no bad reviews.
Right.
That's one thing, but the compliance section is a problem because the salespeople deal with all the same stuff that the dealer operator is getting held accountable for compliance.
Yeah, I see.
And
no-
I'm
I
open-minded.
I see no issue with a refresher. I mean. you know. But
Could we look into that, William? Some type of, I'm not trying to dump your cart full or anything, but is there any way we could look into a possible research for used car salesmen?
This board has the authority to require any training things that is necessary to make business work. So you have the authority to do that.
Can we create a committee to review it and come back to you with some information on it?
I think he just volunteered himself to have that.
Okay, so on that committee is going to be Mr. Bannister.
I'm out.
I need a new hitch.
Yeah. I'm going to say Mr. Bannister, Michael Bohr, and Don Sullivan, and I'm going to say Mr. Sagafi will all be aboard.
Well, before we go there, I mean, I'm not suggesting in any way that we.
Oh, you don't want to work, did you? You don't want to be on the committee.
I'm not suggesting in any way that that we shouldn't offer resources for people should they want to refresh or if
None of them would ever.
But you know, at some point, when someone comes in and says the reason all this happened is because my people weren't trained, it would be great if we said, well, here's a website you can go to, or here are materials that the dealer operator studies before they take the test. We recommend you have your people review that. But I guess what I'd love to stay away from is just mandating additional training, because there are a lot of people out there who do take it upon themselves to get trained and do it the right way. And, you know, having just more red tape to go through if you want to be in this industry, because there are people who don't, because there are some instances of people who don't do it right, just feels like a little overreach.
Michael, all this stuff we're dealing with right now on these print-on-demand tags are happening from employees that are licensed salespeople.
Madam Chair, if I might, Ann Gambardella with the Virginia Auto Dealers. As you look at this, one thing I might suggest too is that, like print on demand, there's training that has to happen before the person's allowed on that system. Same with the online dealer system. In some of the franchise stores, it's not a salesperson who's doing the print on demand temp tags. They have different ways of dividing up those tasks. So when you say a salesperson's given the key to the kingdom, I would suggest that in most of the franchise stores, that's not really the case. So you've got a job licensing function, or you've got a license that can apply to lots of different job functions, and should just be aware of the additional burden you might be placing on businesses, where the solution may be in these print on demand, have those vendors in there retraining people. I mean, you already have to go through something before you're allowed to get on that system. So, and the same with the online dealer system, there are those resources already.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, can't do anything without being known if you don't share your password. So don't share your, I mean, that's a fundamental thing.
That's a
Don't
small
share your
portion.
password.
Yep.
You can get the other folks their own password and user login. So then we can track when who the actual person is who's doing the wrong deal.
Yeah, that's just a small portion of what I'm talking about. That's just a little piece of it. All the things that salespeople do that really don't have a clue about what the laws are in the state of Virginia as far as being a dealer. They're never made accountable for any of that. I mean, it goes a lot further than just print on demand. I mean, that's just something else that's done, but I mean, it's the whole time it's been like that. Just like the Wild West. It's like the Wild West out there.
The CFPB is cracking down right now on privacy. And it's a nationally known thing right now that they're coming after us to look at what we're doing with our practices. So we may be ahead of the curve here to get on top of versus wait for them to teach us a lesson, and then we're reacting to it.
It's all okay until the salesperson shows somebody a car and it doesn't have a buyer's guide in it, and tries to sell it or whatever, and to the wrong person, and they get a $43,000 fine. It's all okay, We can say, oh, well, you need to get educated. You can do this and do that. But that's the position that the owners are put in, not the salespeople.
The owner's got to write that check.
That's right. So, I mean, if nobody sees any value in that.
I see value in it, Don. I'm
that
looking to take the temperature of the board to find out what you guys want to do about it.
Well, I see value in training. I think we've got enough regulations on it for things that we have to put our salespeople through already. I think we have enough of that. In my case, I don't have one salesperson is recruited to take it. Oh, just never happened. Doesn't have anything to do with it. And what we're talking about here doesn't happen. And I probably got 500 salespeople, but they're all licensed in the state of Virginia.
Well, your F&I people are salespeople.
That's a good thing. They're highly qualified and highly trained. So that's when you're trying to do that on the salespeople, that's an additional onus. I think a lot of us don't really want to have to deal with. What you're talking about is how you hold them accountable. That's an entirely different story. And I don't know what we can do about that, because the only person who go after it, I don't know if the state can do that. I think it would have to be the dealer would have to go after it. Most times we don't take the time to do that when we when we could, because it's illegal. And who's getting ripped off is a lot of times it's customers. That's what I really worry about. Giving these tags, selling these tags for $120 a car, ultimately, people on the road illegally, and people didn't take advantage of it. So I don't know how you take recourse to that unless it's the dealer.
Well, there was,
If I could just say one thing. 7 or 8 years sitting here, these things, I'm looking at these cases. I think our industry is doing a tremendous job, because if you look at transactions, every time somebody has a situation with a customer, we only see the bad things here. And how many do we really see of all transactions here under 7.5, 8 years? The industry's doing a pretty good job for this. We have so many different alphabetical regulations and so many things. Right now, when you buy a car, the sign 17, 18 times. So how much farther do we go? And I don't, this is the asphalt industry, or something like that. I think we're doing pretty good. And I just want to point that out. We don't need to say, oh, some more regulation, now every other year, take this course and that course. I think it's responsibility, it's the dealer's responsibility, and then it's like this. Responsible, here is the fashion. And what I think overall in 7 or 8 years, we're not that bad. I think we're doing a tremendous job. Yes, there's bad apples in every industry, but based upon the sheer numbers of what goes on in this industry every day, so I just don't want to regulate, keep saying, do some more of this, do some more of that. There's before there, let's make it available. Education up here, if you want to do it, not regulate at the same time.
Alvin Melendez, Independent Dealers Association. I came from the franchise stores. I was highly trained by the dealership that hired me when I was a salesperson at 18. They had a tremendous training program going on and training us in all aspects. I feel that each trade association should look at themselves and see if they see something fit. I definitely not going to make a recommendation from the independents. I won't want the franchise making recommendations of my trade association. But I feel that if there's new regulation, they should just put those new questions into the test that the salespeople have to take, whether you are a franchise or independent, and keep that updated more often. I don't believe that the new car association or have any big issues with salespeople. I think that you can really say one here, one there. They don't have the issues that we have as an independent. They have a lot more resources to hire and train people than the independents do. So I don't see this being an issue with the new car franchise.
so there was discussion earlier, though, about having a subcommittee meet on this. Do folks still want to do
I think Chris is
that?
right. We get shot down the meeting.
So I told you this morning, I told you the new car guys wouldn't like it.
And also, Madam Chair, not to give Mr. Mayor a hard time, but you do put a committee together, that's your call, not his. You can decide. Not
Franchise.
We've had a couple, they just haven't come to the board. They paid, so we don't pay, they paid. So
Money always works.
Well, Don, I appreciate you bringing it up.
Good discussion was had, and we'll consult.
I'll be back in
and,
July.
Right, address it later. And in the meantime, William has
Yeah,
one more piece.
and you need to come
business.
with, we need to present a certificate to Mr. Moore. We've been turning around for a while.
Picture time.
Oh, wow.
Give it for the two flags.
Need a picture, yep.
this is presented to you from the governor's office, I guess, for your second term, but we haven't seen you in a couple of months, so it's been over years. It's good for you, so we want to give it to you. Thank you.
Okay, if there is no other business, that concludes our meeting. Meeting is adjourned.